It's always been really important to me in my businesses to help women. I never really thought about why. This gave me a time to reflect the impact that so many have had. My story is about the people who deserve the accolades that are written in my bio way more than I do. So to give you a quick perspective of my childhood, I had 3 male role models, and they were Pete Rose, O.J. Simpson, and Bruce Jenner. Yeah. It tells you a lot about my childhood, right? Fortunately, I had elite women in my life that changed that. My father left my mother and 6 of us kids when I was 6, and I was raised by my mother and my 3 sisters. My childhood was rough, and it wasn't rough for me, it was rough for my mother. I was labeled ADD and LD and requested to repeat every grade from 1st through 12th. I wasn't accepted in high school, which my older brothers attended. I ended up graduating dead last, and then I went off and I flunked out of college. My father left. She went from being a stay-at-home mom, raising 6 kids, to now financially having to support a family of 7. We never heard from my father again. My mother was an incredible woman. No matter what, she always believed in all of us. Teachers would call, principals would call, maybe the police stopped by, I'm not sure, but she'd always stick up for me, and people didn't think she was being tough enough on me. And she'd always say, he's going to make it, I believe in him. And she'd say that to me and about me, and that was really huge. Watching my mother work 2 jobs, and she had to take the time to raise us, it was really impactful to see what she had to go through. 2 jobs for $2.65 an hour, because that was what minimum wage was back then. It made me really want to grow up someday and give her the life that she didn't have, and really take care of her. Unfortunately, she passed before I got that opportunity, but not her impact at all. Around that same time, I met another incredible woman, Stacy Taylor, who I eventually would marry. I saw this pattern repeating. Her mom, her grandmother, my mom, they did the hard work, raised kids, and when they got to a certain point, their husbands left, and they took everything with them. The income, the benefits, the retirements, all those things. And so I saw all these things, and that really bothered me. And one of my commitments initially was my wife. She was going to be as strong with or without me. She was this amazing hairdresser at a very young age. In the early 90s, late 80s, she was working at a typical salon that didn't offer vacations, education, training, health insurance, or retirement. A lot of good friends, good employees were leaving the salon industry to go get real jobs. The only people that charged good money were men. Men only made up 2% of the industry as hairdressers, but they were the only ones that really could charge. Seeing that from the outside, it didn't look right. We both saw an opportunity to create something, a new salon that offered 3 things. Something to these women that they weren't getting elsewhere, a real job with benefits and professionalism and training, something unique to the customers that not only were they not getting in the beauty industry, but anywhere else that we saw, and then something we can give back to the community, our success. Stacy had this incredible passion and vision of what a salon could be, totally different than anyone had ever seen before. We used to go out to bars and restaurants, and we used to write our ideas on a cocktail napkin, and we still have those cocktail napkins 24 years later framed. February 15th, 1993, we opened John Roberts Spa. A lot of people think it was named after me. That is my middle name, John Robert, and that might be my only regret. I remember when we were thinking about what we're going to call it, Stacy's Salon, because she was in the business. I was still driving a truck for UPS. She said, a woman's name doesn't work. It has to be a man's name. So we had just had our oldest son. He was just born 6 months prior. His name was John Robert IV. So we named it John Roberts Spa. By the late 1990s, we were crushing it. We were growing faster than we could handle. We were doing makeovers on all the local TV channels. Cosmo did an issue on the top 10 hairdressers in the United States. And Stacy was the only female of the top 10, and she was the only one not from New York, LA, Miami, the prominent cities. in the mid to late 90s, Stacy was charging over $100 a haircut. That's one of the most expensive at the time for a female in the country, let alone Cleveland, Ohio. And we were training future generations of hairdressers that could do the same and be independent and not be dependent on a relationship or a job. As John Roberts exploded, businesses from other industries started asking me to speak because we were built around good customer service, which eventually propelled my speaking, writing some books, the DiJulius Group, and working with all these companies. But if you see how that worked out, I got the credit and opportunity because my wife and I started something based on her passion and vision. Like my mother, Stacy's life was cut short, but her vision was realized by the ripple effect that she has had on thousands and thousands of people, including the 150 plus staff that we have today, making great livings. Today we have multiple locations, been named one of the top 20 spas in America. We see over 200,000 guests a year. It's important to me. We have 3 companies today. The DiJulius Group, which we have a managing partner. It started off in John Roberts Spa, now running the DiJulius Group. We have Believe in Dreams, which is a nonprofit foundation giving back to deserving children. And that's run by one of our women, and we just opened a new location in Hudson. One of our long-term employees is a partner in that. So very proud of our vision, Stacy's vision has created. So you can see why when I hear my bio, my accomplishments, it's almost embarrassing because those aren't my accomplishments. I am who I am today because of the influence I had from several incredible women in my life who believed in me. And it's the incredible women in my life, past and present, that I want to thank and recognize.